Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by Prophetic Lessons team. I am Sanjay. We are learning nodejs with MySQL APIs. This is our part number 22. Inside this video session guys, we will see about where clause as well as like wildcards characters. So if I back to editor, now inside previous video sessions we had seen about all the CRUD operations in our APIs. Now inside this video, if I back to top, now here this is the API which basically gives us all the data, means all the users from our database table. So if I open the code, now inside this block we are just written about the simplest query, that is select all from our table users. Now inside this query there is no where clause as well as there is no usage of like wildcards characters. Now what basically they are. So if I back to slide, open a new tab. Now where clause means that we are going to use something like in, like between, like logical greater than, less than, and or, means these are the characters or these are the expressions we are going to use in our MySQL query. So if I back to our editor, so firstly let's add a column in our table called table_users. So inside this table we are going to add one more column, let's say marks. So inside that column we will store about the user marks respectively about each user. So go at the table structure. Now inside this we are going to add one more column. So after phone number, click on go, and here let's say that marks, and it should be integer, length should be let's say 11, and click on save button. So successfully we have added. Back to browse, and let's enter about the marks for our first user, that is something let's say 75. Click enter. Again for the second user, let's say 86, pressing enter. Again for the third user, let's say 45, and also I'm going to enter about the mobile number. Click on enter. And finally for the last user, let's enter about the marks called let's say 63. So all we have entered about 4 different marks for 4 different users. So if I back to editor, now go at the route, this is users. So back to our Chrome browser, let's say that localhost, and it should be 5000, and let's say that users, pressing enter. Now inside this, and there is something refused to connect. Let's check about the nodemon, and here we have some error something. So Ctrl C to cancel, and again if I starting our server, so nodemon index.js. So waiting to starting our server, and if I back to our route, reload this page, now successfully we can see that our server has been restarted. Now this is all about to get all the users data. Now inside this, if I put some where clause like where, let's say marks, this is the column actually what we have added in our table, as well as we can see that marks is automatically added inside these column attributes. So let's say that marks in, and inside this we want that the user should be selected or filtered inside this list whose marks between let's say 63, like 86. This is to value. So inside this in block we had written only 2 scores. So on the basis of all these mentioned values we are going to filter users. So if I back to browser, reload this page. Now as we can see, from all the list of users, we have filtered only 2 users. It's because these are the marks basically we have specified inside our end block. So all the marks or all the values if we put inside this parenthesis, then automatically the results get filtered. So this is our first where clause in which we have used about in character. So if I copy this query, back to slide and pasting it here. Now let's use about between. So again, back to our editor, get rid of this in clause, save these changes, back to browser, reload this page. Now we are getting all the values. Now let's say that we are going to select all the users whose marks between, let's say, 70 to 90. So back to code editor, let's say where marks between, let's say, 70 and 90. So as we know that there are 2 users only, back to our table, so only 2 users we have whose marks belongs to or lie in between 70 to 90, and these are the 2 users called ID1 and the ID2. So back to here, reload this page. Now we are getting only 2 users. So by using our between inside our where clause, actually we have specified a range. This is a range we have specified from 70 to 90, by the help of which actually we have filtered the result data. So again, if I copy this query, back to slide, pasting it here, and all we have seen the use of in and between. Now next see about greater than and less than. So back here, let's say that marks greater than, let's say, 60. If we again back to our table, see about database table, now greater than 60 we have called 63, 86 and 75. So if I back to our data input, reload this page, now we are getting 3 different users. These users have their marks greater than 60 value. So back to editor, and if I copy this command, pasting it here, now next see about less than symbol. So back to editor, less than, that we want all the users whose marks, let's say that less than 80. So if I back to our table, see inside this list, so we have less than 80 means 75, 45 and 63. So back here, reload this page. Now we are getting again 3 different users, but this time we are not getting the user whose value is 86 because it is from out of the box. It is greater than 80 value. Now successfully all we have seen about less than symbol inside our MySQL query, so copy that and pasting it here. Now next see about and or. So this is basically to use logical and in our code. So let's say that we want that all the users from this list whose marks less than 80 and ID should be, if I back to data, so let's say ID should be 1. So putting it here. Now here we have added 2 different conditions, and these 2 conditions must contain the true value. It means that the marks should be less than 80 as well as ID should be equal to 1. So if we save all these changes, back to our output screen, reload this page, now this is the value. Now as we know that this is less than 80 as well as it is equal to 1. So in case if we change something, let's say ID equal to 2, now as we know that if I back to table, Now id equal to 2, it's okay, but its marks is not equal to means not less than 80. It means that the first condition returns about the false value because his marks greater than 80. So it returns false value, but it returns true value. So logical AND operator means says that both the conditions or any of the condition what we have specified must contain return or true value. So if we back to output screen, reload this page, now we are getting empty array. So this is all about using logical AND in our MySQL queries. So if I copy, back to slide, pasting it here. Now let's see about using OR condition. So let's say that here I am changing OR instead of AND. So this time either it will return the true value or any of the condition returns true value, then this data actually we will get in the output screen. So if I back to our output screen, reload this page, now let's understand what basically happened. Now first condition, let's say that marks less than 80. So it automatically selected all the rows whose marks less than 80. It does not compare that what basically ID we have mentioned. So it means it contains the data whose marks less than 80. So according to first condition we have our first ID, third number ID and 10th number ID. But according to our second condition that is id equal to 2, it also contains the id2 value inside our data result set. So it contains all the 4 rows what we have inside our table. So this is all about using where clause in MySQL queries. Let's see about like wildcards character. So back to query. Now if I again copy this MySQL query and pasting it here, all we have seen about where clause in different aspects of MySQL query. So again, if I go or open a next tab, now like wildcards contain 2 different symbols. Firstly about underscore, and in the second this is percentage symbol. It says for the single character and it says about multiple characters. So back to action. So if I get rid of this where condition, so let's say name, we have a name column inside this table. So we want that all the names should be selected from this list whose name start from capital O or let's say O. So how can we select those users? So back to code editor. So let's name like, and we want that the name start from O character. After O we have many characters, but we want that the first character should be O. So as I have discussed that in the like wildcards we have 2 characters. First is about for single character and this is for the multiple characters. So after O we want multiple characters. So putting percentage symbol here. So if I back to our output screen, reload this page, now we are getting only the user whose name starts from O character. Again, let's say that we want all the users from this list whose name contain at least a single A character. So again back to code editor. So before that, if I copy this MySQL query, pasting it here, now let's say that we want that to actually select all the users whose name contain at least a character. The position does not getting take here. It means position of A is at anywhere. So we want that any characters before starting of A, or either it will be the first character but it will contain at least a character. So if we save this changes, back to our output screen, reload this page, now we are getting only 3 users. For the first user, if we check about the name value, then inside this name a character is missing, but inside all these names we have a character. Now let's say that we are going to select all the users from this list whose name contains a at the last position. So back to our query. So before that, if I copy this MySQL query, back to slide, pasting it here, back to code editor. Now let's say that whose name contains a at the last position. So if we save all these changes, back to output screen, reload this page, now we have only 2 users whose name contains a at the last position. So successfully guys, by the help of this video actually we understood about where clause as well as like wildcards in MySQL queries. So by the help of which actually we can implement different conditions on MySQL queries to get or filter our data via our database table. So inside this video session guys, if I went out, then please drop your comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.